Hey you, yeah you, welcome to the Malaka podcast. My top 10 Nintendo Entertainment System games. Ladies and gentlemen, I was a kid of the 80s and 90s, and the number one system at the time was basically Nintendo. It was huge. Commercials, shitty movies, but a lot of people mostly remember the video games. There's a lot of video games. A lot of people just lost track of what was good, what was bad. Back then, it wasn't like now where you can just go on the internet and check out what good games are, which ones are actually playable. Back in the day, I would just hit up the rental store, take a chance, rent a game. Either I'm going to love it or I'm going to hate it. Either way, I'm screwed for 1 day, 2 days. It doesn't really matter. But you know what? Just recently, I want to reminisce on my childhood. And I wanted to go back and see if I missed any great games, any awesome games. And there were a couple good games. But I'm going to be honest with you. There was a lot of shitty games. I mean, back then, like I said, you didn't know if you're going to get a good game or not. Now you can just play any game you want, go nuts. It doesn't matter. For some reason, the games are coming back in a way, because the whole, thing with the millennials, and I don't know, they just like to, go back and, they consider this retro and whatever. I just considered it a fun way to spend a weekend because I had nothing else to do. I wasn't going to go play outside or ride my bike. No. I was going to stay inside and play Nintendo, also known as the NES. And according to Wikipedia here, it's an 8-bit home video game console developed and manufactured by Nintendo. It is a remodeled export version of the company's family computer, also known as FC platform in Japan, commonly known as the Famicom, which was launched on July 15th, 1983. The NES was launched in the test markets of New York City and Los Angeles in 1985, with the full launch in the rest of North America and parts of Europe in 1986, followed by Australia and other European countries in 1987. Brazil saw only unlicensed clones until the official local release in 1993. In South Korea, it was packaged as a Hyundai Cowboy. Hyundai, something, sure. And distributed by Hyundai Electronics, which is now SK Hynix. The Comboy was released in 1989. The best-selling game console of its time, the NES helped revitalize the US video game industry following the North American video game crash of 1983. Now let me explain a little bit of what that means. Basically, for a while, people didn't give a shit about video games, even nerds. The whole Atari craze, came in there for a little while and, I don't know, just got basically played out. And then, Nintendo wanted to come back and say, you know what? I think we can do this. I think we can revive the video game industry, and they did. With the NES, Nintendo introduced a now standard business model of licensing third-party developers, authorizing them to produce and distribute titles for Nintendo's platform. It had been preceded by Nintendo's first home video game console, the Color TV game, and was succeeded by the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, also known as the SNES. But we're going to talk about that another time. Right now, I just like to focus more on the whole Nintendo. Now, very simple system. It's gray, it's white, it's black, it's got two pretty buttons, one A, one B, a start and select button, a little D-pad, up, down, left, right. Even had one of the most famous codes of all time. Up, up, down, down, left, right, A, B, B, A, start. Or maybe B, A. Was it B, A, or A, B? I don't know, it was one of those. Either way, you probably put this in most of the games, you're going to get a million lives. So, but if you want to play fair, don't do that shit. Just play it as it was naturally supposed to play. So, what is the point of all this? Well, I thought Nintendo was fucking futuristic. I mean, originally it came with Robbie the Robot, a little attachment that, you have you know what, honestly, it's hard to explain. It was just like a little plastic robot. It was just a gimmick for the system, that's all. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was an actual game. You made a move on the Nintendo there, and then you made the robot move in real life. I mean, at the time, it was kind of cool, I mean, the 80s, I don't know, everything was robots, Like even in Rocky, they had that robot that moved, brought Paulie a beer and wished him a happy birthday, Happy birthday, Paulie, all that shit. So, I don't know, I guess they just rolled with that, and it just helped, sell systems. So, but Nintendo was such a big name. I mean, you have no idea. Like at the time, I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, people still know what Nintendo is. But back then, I mean, there was basically nothing else, really. I mean, Sega Genesis came later, and PlayStation and Xbox and all that shit. But Nintendo was, the god of video games for a long time. And a lot of people always tried to copy it and whatever. And, of course, it's in competition with everything else nowadays. But, Nintendo basically was the shit. And, if you didn't have one, you're suck to be you, Either that or you knew somebody who had one and you could just, play two players on some game, whatever, and just share. And, that's it. It was pretty simple. It's just another way to pass the time, But there were so many cool games that came with Nintendo. And I would just like to share my top 10 video games for the system. Now, also keep in mind that this is my personal opinion, okay? I don't give a shit what anybody else says out there, okay? These are 10 games that if I could play for the rest of my life, I would. In fact, for the most part, I still do some days, if I'm bored at work or most of them I'm bored at work. But it is a great way to spend the time. It's way better than, I don't know, watching Game of Thrones. I can never get into Game of Thrones. I don't get it. I don't know. And someone told me that I don't know, the dragon now is the king. What the fuck is going on? But anyways, the point is, Nintendo was awesome, and it took me a long time to figure out this list. If anything, I found out there was at least like, give or take, like 1,000 games for Nintendo. I literally went through all of them. I found some hidden gems, but I'll get to that later. But now I'd like to list off my favorite 10 games for Nintendo. At number 10, I have to say, Super Mario Brothers. Now, this was the very first game that came with the system. Originally, it was just Super Mario Brothers. Then later, they combined it with Duck Hunt, and even later on, they combined it with another game, something to do with, some kind of mat or, something involving exercise. Of course, I wasn't interested. So, Super Mario was the shit. Now, for those of you who don't know who Super Mario is, basically, he's a guy that was created by one of Nintendo's biggest names, that has created a lot of characters. But the one he'll always be known for is obviously Super Mario. This man's name was Shigeru Miyamoto, and it says here also Takashi Tezuka. Now, well, these guys are geniuses in my books. I mean, these guys have created so many characters, like I've said before, but we're going to get to that in a little bit. Super Mario just basically got the ball rolling. You know, it's about a guy who, look, I'm not going to lie to you. I love Super Mario, okay, but being half Italian, this is one of the main stereotypes I've had to chase away from for the majority of my life. But again, I don't mind. I mean, it's funny. You know, it's a cute little character. He said originally Miyamoto got the idea from his landlord from, you know, when he was renting a place. You know, he would just, you know, fix stuff, and he just, you know, reminded him of, you know, kind of that stereotype, and, you know, the mustache and the overalls and all that. So that's how that got going. I heard originally he wanted Super Mario to be an electrician instead of a plumber. Like I said before, I'm Italian. Either one of them, I would believe. You know, it pretty much fits the bill anyway. So, you know, I'm cool with either one. But they decided with a plumber. He's got a brother named Luigi, who you can play as a second player, you know, if you choose to let someone else play with you as the second player, you know. Later, Luigi became taller for some reason. And in the movie, he was played by Hispanic, good old John Leguizamo. And yeah, you know what? I'm not going to talk about the movie. Came out in 1993. It bombed horribly. I mean, everyone's heard about it. I don't think it's as bad as everyone thinks, but you know, I don't know. They're going to try to revive it into a cartoon, you know, in the near future, in the next year or two or something like that. So, you know what? Good luck with that. Yeah. Anyways. Yeah, so Mario was a very simple game. You know, he knew this Princess Toadstool, and it was Princess Toadstool, by the way. Later on, I don't know, she changed her name to Peach. I mean, I don't know, maybe, I don't know, she divorced Mario or something and just, I don't know, wanted a fresh start. Who could blame her? But, yeah, you know, so the whole point of this game is that you're going around and, you know, you're killing all these dudes like Goombas, which is like I guess a walking mushroom. I guess I don't know. And then there's you know, there's Koopa Troopas, and you know, they're turtles. You know, and trying to jump over them and shit. And you know, you get firepower, and then you take a mushroom that, you know, helps you grow, you know, height wise. And yeah, it's just a really great fun game. You know, it was a good way to introduce the system, and yeah, to this day I still enjoy playing it. It's a really fun game, you know. I try not to use the warps. I mean, there's the obvious warps and stuff, and I don't know, there's a couple secret levels in there, like -1 world or some shit. I don't know, who cares. But anyways, it's a fun game. And then at the end of it, you got to at the end of every level, you get to face you know, King Koopa. You know, he's I guess a big ass turtle or a dinosaur. Or, I don't know what the fuck he is. I have no idea. I don't know. But yeah, you know, it's fun. And then you pass every level, and then you see Toad, who's another mushroom, which is, I'm seeing a theme here. Maybe that inspired them drug-wise. But yeah, you know, I'm sorry, but our princess is in another castle. Every time he said that, I just wanted to punch that guy in his face. But yeah, you know, you just keep going, you know, because, you know, there's nothing else to do. And yeah, it was a very fun game. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, don't bother with the movie. I mean, there's nothing really there, you know. I guess they tried to make it for kids instead of adults, but then they fucked up because they wanted to make it for adults, and I don't know, it had you know, this weird Blade Runner feel to it because I don't know, the same dude apparently that did Blade Runner, he made designs for it too. So I don't know. But anyways, check out the game. It's old school. I love it, and I will forever. 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 Do 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 do. The number 9 game I've chosen on my list is a little game I like to call Blades of Steel, or as normal people say it, Blades of Steel. Now, there's lots of sports games for Nintendo. You know, I mean, a lot of people like Techno Bowl or whatever. I don't know, fuck that shit. I'm a hockey fan. What I love about Blades of Steel is the music. It's awesome. Gameplay's cool, you know. And it's also the only hockey game I know where if you get into a fight with someone, when you beat the shit out of them, that person gets the penalty. Now, ladies and gentlemen, how cool would that be if that was the case in real life? So let's say even if like someone's fighting on the ice, two guys are going at it, whatever. First guy that hits the ice, boom. He and only he gets the penalty. That's the way it should be. But what are you going to do? It's a great game. It's very simple. Even in the second intermission, they give you this little mini game in between periods. You know, the good little celebrations, you know, always fun to watch, you know. Although it's always the same one for some reason. It's always the guy like celebrating in the middle. He's raising a stick, and then the four other guys are just kind of skating beside him, you know, like, I don't know, if they're his helpers or whatever. And, you know, the announcer's cool.
Face off. Takes the pass. Takes the pass. Takes the pass. Ah!
Very fun game. There's only a couple teams. I mean, I don't know. I guess, you know, I don't know. Maybe they couldn't get the rights to all the teams, whatever. But trust me, if you're going to play any sports game on Nintendo, it's definitely this one.
Get the pass. With the pass. It's a pass. Ah!
The 8th game on my list happens to be a little street fighting game they like to call Double Dragon. Now, Double Dragon starts off with a very brutal scene. I keep in mind this is before Grand Theft Auto or any crazy shit like that. Just, you know, it shows a gang going up to a woman, punching her, and then just, you know, taking off with her. Now, I'm sure the hashtag MeToo movement will definitely not like this, but, you know, back in the day, I don't know, people didn't really give a shit. I mean, they did, but at the same time, they didn't, you know? And, you know, games didn't really have a rating system yet. I mean, that's when Mortal Kombat came way later, but, yeah, I'm sure that wasn't a good one to promote for kids. But anyways, it's about two dudes named Billy and Jimmy, and they go around, and it's just a classic beat 'em up. You know, very simple, good music. Again, you know, and I keep mentioning good music with these games. By the way, I mean Mario had good music too. I mean, you know, they still use the same theme to this day, so that tells you something right there. But good music to anything. I mean, not just, you know, video games, but movies and all that shit. I mean, it really does make a difference. A lot of people don't think it really does, but it does. It does. It really does. I like saying does. But, you know, it's just a classic beat 'em up, like I said before. And, you know, you go around, you get weapons, you know, you get to beat the shit out of people. You know, it's just a very simple game. I mean, you know, it's one of the classic beat 'em ups of, you know, the 80s and 90s. And, you know, it was even cool on the arcade version, you know, and then they brought it to Nintendo, of course, you know, because the Nintendo system was doing so well. And, yeah, you know, if you could believe it, they actually made a shitty movie out of this game, too. It starred the one white guy who couldn't fight from Party of Five. And it starred the other guy who was the bad guy in John Wick 3. And Alyssa Milano. Yeah. That's right. That actually happened. And yeah, but the game is way better. So, if the movie, again, if you just want to torture yourself for, whatever, 4 hours, just watch Mario and Double Dragon and, I don't know, just get a box of tissues and, just get ready to cry. Because, yeah, it was a painful time for kids like us growing up, because we were looking at these games and thinking, oh shit, it'd be cool if they made a good movie, and then we saw these movies and we're like, oh fuck, our childhood is over. And but anyways, like I said, it's a classic beat 'em up game. A lot of people would probably say that other games like River City Ransom is better, but I'll be honest with you. I mean, like I always look back to like what started what, and if it wasn't for Double Dragon, you wouldn't have a game like River City Ransom. So, just keep that in mind. And yeah, the other Double Dragons are okay too, I guess. Well, three was shit. I think three was the classic one that had that stupid typo. What was it, Bimmy and Jimmy? Which really proves. I mean, like how much like a lot of these games are just so mass produced and just so quickly done. Like they didn't give a shit. I mean, they didn't proofread anything. So Double Dragon, teaches you a lot of things. One, classic beat 'em ups never die, and two, proofread your shit. Now, number 7 is a classic game that is just a classic shooter game. Little game I like to call Contra. Now, Contra, like I said before, has the classic code up, up, down, down, left, right, A, B, start. Or is it BA? Fuck, I keep forgetting. I'll look it up later. It's one of those guys. You'll figure it out. But yeah, again, it's just a classic shooting game. And even if you don't put in the code, it's still a great game. Although yeah, I don't buy it. I mean, like, okay, you go online and I'm sure some kid doesn't have any lives left to live. He's got time to pass the game, with 3 lives. I don't believe it can be done to this day. I usually die in the 4th or 5th level. But anyways, Contra is just a game where, I mean, you're basically like a Rambo type. I mean, if you're first player, you're wearing jeans. If you're a second player, you're wearing red pants, like Will Smith did in The Fresh Prince. And, you just go around, you're shooting enemies, you get all these cool weapons. The best weapon I always liked was the spread, where it just shoots all the little red balls or whatever that shit is. I don't even know what it was, but it just basically just killed everything in sight. And it just never gets old. I don't know, some games, like, just have such a simple premise, like you go around, you're shooting shit, and then all of a sudden you're shooting aliens for some reason. I don't know why. I don't know. Actually, now I think about it, I mean, they kind of like combined like a whole bunch of shit at the things that were just popular at the time, I guess. I don't know, maybe like Rambo, and then a little bit of Predator in there, and just a whole bunch of cool shit, I guess. And I don't know. It's like Danny McBride said in Pineapple Express. Legends never die, dude. So, it's a game I can never get sick of playing. You play with 2 players. You could be a good person and play as a team, or you could be a dick and steal the other person's lives. Either way, it is a fun game. I enjoy it. Any game where you can go around shooting aliens and, just having a good time, rocking jeans and a machine gun, I'm there. And again, it's, good music. And that's what's important. Thank you. Now, the number 6 game is a character you've probably heard of in a lot of movies. A little game I like to call Batman. Now, there's a couple games that came out for Nintendo, Batman. This was the original one, I guess. This came out probably just after the movie hit. Yeah, and it's what it is. It's Batman going around. But again, cool music, really cool music, cool, graphics for its time. It basically just follows the first Batman. For those of you who don't know, the first real good Batman movie was, of course, starring Michael Keaton, who to this day I still feel is the best Batman. I don't give a shit what anybody says. Christian Bale, I like him. He's cool. Uh, you know, there's times where he has to learn how to treat people on set. That's all I'm going to say. Okay, we've all heard the audio, but I still say Michael Keaton is the best Batman of all time, and I say bring him back. That's right. He's a little bit older, but how cool would it be to have an old Batman? But I digress. And also, it starred good old Jack Nicholson. Now, I heard Jack Nicholson made over 60 million from this movie. He was one of the guys that just started the whole trend. Give me some points for the movie, whatever. But anyways, we're here to talk about the video game. So the video game is, it's very dark. It's got that like cool feel to it. Again, like you get the choice of like all these weapons, and you fight all these cool enemies and all that. And of course, at the end, you fight the Joker, who's a really tough motherfucker. And like a little simple thing, like even in the game where you get to like jump like from wall to wall to wall. I know it sounds really simple, guys. Like people that are probably like listening to this, that are way younger are probably like, dude, that's no fucking big deal. I'm not saying it was a big deal back then, but it just adds a cool element to the game. Like you really got to play it to understand it. So if you like games where you go around beating up robots and killing a guy who looks like a crazy ass clown, you're gonna enjoy this game. I guarantee it. Greetings, Bat Brain. Are you ready to meet your destiny? Oof, it gives me the chills. Batman. By the way, that music is not in that game, so it's way more darker. Trust me. So I just like singing it. That's all. I'm sorry. Anyways, my number 5 video game is a classic, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Punch-Out is definitely one of the most funnest games to play on the Nintendo. Everybody knows about this game. Tons of references have always been made about this game, whether it be in TV shows or movies. Even Jimmy Fallon, the host of The Tonight Show, brought on Mike Tyson to play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Just about, a year or two ago. The game is still relevant to this day. Although I heard that Mike Tyson only made 50 grand from the game. Although the game sold a bunch of copies. But hey, that's just the way it goes. But yeah, it's a very fun game. Basically, the name speaks for itself. Punch Out. You play a boxer called Little Mac. This little white guy who is coached by I don't even know the guy's name. Every time I see that guy, though, he reminds me of Carl from Family Matters. Carl Winslow, the guy who plays the cop. He also plays the cop in Die Hard. Also plays the cop in Perfect Strangers. He actually played the cop in the original Ghostbusters for about 3.2 seconds. So he's been around. It's got one of the classic training montages of all time. When it just shows him, running in that pink hoodie, whatever, and of course, Carl is in the back there on the bike, and then it just says password, whatever, Great music, very entertaining. When you're fighting people like a real boxer, you can get fatigued, and then at some point you can't punch. And for some reason, you do get a super punch, but the other guys, your opponents, I don't know, they get to do weird, crazy moves that you can't do, and all I got is a super punch, and I got to jump and hit the dude, and You know, I don't know. They get to charge at me. I don't know. They get to do weird transporting moves. I don't know. They get to put band-aids on their belly button, and that's their weakness. Just crazy shit. But cool characters though. Very cool. It's one of those games you can just keep playing forever and never get sick of. So, and yeah, Carl Winslow. That guy popped up in everything in the 80s. I mean, just like even Nintendo, he was there. Even Mario pops up, in this game as the referee. So. Oh, here's a good secret I learned. If you're between rounds, if you keep pushing select, your power will go up. So, yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, very fun game. I mean, they're still making these games to this day, and it's always been a good face of the franchise. And notice how I said Mike Tyson's Punch Out and not just Punch Out, because you got to get Mike Tyson, because at the end of that one, obviously you get to face Mike Tyson. I don't know what the fuck happened. Later on, they just changed it to Punch Out, and the last character became Mr. Dream or whatever the fuck. And yeah, I always prefer the Mike Tyson version. So, it's worth seeing just the training theme montage. That's just some classic Rocky shit. Statue of Liberty. Password. My number 4 pick just happens to be a game about a little blue robot, or it's a human in a blue robot suit. I don't know. I can never figure that one out, guys. I'll be honest with you. I can't bother to do the research either. Mega Man number 3. That's right. Mega Man 3. Not 1 and not even 2. Mega Man 3. Now look, I know some fucking nerds are going to go out there, and say, okay, Mega Man 2 is always the best one. Every time, like when I did my research for this, everyone says Mega Man 2 is the best one. It's not, okay? They came out with 6 games on the Nintendo of Mega Man 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And number 3 is by far the best one. I'm not saying all the other ones suck, but number 3 I always felt was the pinnacle of the franchise. Now, like I said before, I don't know if he's a robot. I don't know if he's whatever. I don't know. So it's about this dude. Let's just call him a robot, okay? He's got this cannon gun of an arm, and he just goes around killing different robots. Now, each stage is a different robot. Once you kill the robot, you get the person's power. Now, what I like about 3 the most is it introduces his dog named Rush, okay? Man's best friend. Even robots, man's best friend. Okay, before that, he didn't have a dog. He had this weird, like, missile thing in Mega Man 2 where it looks like he's, I don't know, on top of a penis or something. I don't know what the fuck it was. It just didn't look right. So, obviously they made the dog for him. He's happy. He's getting work, whatever. So it's perfect. The music in this one kicks ass. A lot of people say the music in part 2 kicks more ass. It does not. Okay, the theme, the main stage opening, just all the music in all the different stages, it's fucking awesome. Okay, one thing I gotta be honest with you, I didn't really like about the Mega Mans is you always have to face at one point all the guys again, as like an endurance or whatever. I always thought that was a waste of time. I'm gonna be honest with you, but I always enjoyed the Mega Man games. But Mega Man 3 is the best one, and it's got the best weapons too. A lot of people say Mega Man 2's got the best weapons, whatever the fuck. I don't buy it. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. All right? Listen to me. Mega Man 3 is the best one, okay? You guys are just so stuck on number 2 that you couldn't, see beyond the glasses or whatever the fuck. And I'm telling you, Mega Man 3 is the best one out of the 6. I don't give a shit what anybody says. And you have to fight this one dude at the end called Dr. Wily. You know, these games were so popular at one point that Missy Elliott did a song called what was it called? "Sock It to Me" or some shit, and it was a really good song. Ooh, sock it to me like you would. Yeah, and the whole video you can tell is Mega Man themed. Like even Timbaland is dressed up with the hair as Dr. Wily and all that. So really cool video. But that's how much of an impact Mega Man had. Even affected music and all that shit. So, but I stick to my guns. Mega Man 3 is the best one out of all of them. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're gonna play one Mega Man game on Nintendo, make sure it's Mega Man number 3. Not 2, not even 4. 3. Good things come in threes. Remember that. Dun, dun, na, 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 na. You listen to that music right as soon as the game starts. If that doesn't get you hooked, I don't know. There's something wrong with you. I can't help you. But Mega Man 3 is by far the best Mega Man game on Nintendo. Yeah, I said it. At number 3 on my list is a game called Star Tropics. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. Probably a lot of you listening to this are probably like, the fuck is Star Tropics? I've never even heard of it. This game should have been bigger than what it was. You look at the actual cartridge or even the box, all it shows is it almost looks like some kind of scenery from like Hawaii. It's got some trees, it's got a sky. You have no idea what the fuck this game's about. You're just looking at it like, it's probably another bullshit game, blah, 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 whatever, whatever. But this game, if anything, was made by Nintendo people, and the game's excellent. I mean, I put it right up there with some of the classics. And basically, this game is about a guy, about a kid, normal kid, whatever, goes on an island to visit his uncle. And it's like basically just like an adventure game, none of this RPG shit, I'm not into RPG games. I don't believe in seeing someone and just pushing a button. I believe in actually fighting the person myself, which is something that a lot of people are actually lacking in the real world. But we'll talk about that another time. But this game is very cool. Start off on this little thing called Sea Island, I believe. And, it's an interactive game. You talk to people there, you find out what's going on, and then you find out your uncle's being kidnapped by aliens. And, if you like that adventure, interactive, actually fighting people, apparently with a yo-yo, and a lot of other cool weapons, this game's for you. There's a point in the game, and they felt so strong when they made this game, was inside the box actually came with a letter where eventually you go into your little submarine there, whatever, who's actually assisted by Robbie the Robot. So again, they threw in all these little Nintendo elements, whatever. You take the actual piece of paper. It's an actual piece of paper, like I said. It comes in the box, no bullshit. And you literally soak it in water to get a code. Now, I thought this was the coolest thing. I mean, this is a cool way just to promote a game. I mean, who the fuck is going to do this now? I mean, like I said before, you go online, you find all the secrets, blah, 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 blah. That was some cool shit, honestly, So I was always blown away by that. And, you fight a lot of different enemies, you go to different parts of different islands. At one point you got to do this whole thing where you're in a whale. I mean, kind of like a Moby Dick kind of thing. I mean, it borrows from a lot of things, but it's really cool. And like I said, at the end you get to fight all these aliens and stuff like that, and It's a really cool game, and they even made a part two. I personally like part one better, but it's one of those games that should get more recognition. And who knows? Maybe over time it will. I mean, a lot of people said that part two should have been on Super Nintendo, and that would have maybe helped out the franchise. I believe it was the last game that was ever made for Nintendo too. Star Tropics, Zorba's Greek Zorba's Revenge, whatever, and that was all the way in 1994. So, you know, who knows? I mean, maybe it'll be one of these characters that'll become popular again. But I highly recommend, if you're a Nintendo fan and if you got hours to kill like I always do, I strongly recommend you play this game. I don't want to say that much about it because it's that good of a game. You'll love it. And like I said, you get to use a yo-yo as a weapon. So that alone is pretty cool. It was cool when Michelangelo did it in the beginning of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, and it's fucking cool in this game. Also, if you're a millennial, you will absolutely love this game because for the most part, it seems like you guys are just basically ripping off everything from 80s and 90s. And this game is full of all sorts of haircuts and clothing from that era. So, like I said before, do not let the cover fool you. This is a perfect example of do not judge a book by its cover. Okay? Or as I like to say, do not judge a video game by its sticker. My second choice for this video game system, which again, I just have to say is very cool, is The Legend of Zelda. Now, for those of you who don't know what the fuck The Legend of Zelda is, simply go fuck yourself. I mean, really, if you know anything about video games, you must know something about The Legend of Zelda. He's one of the most iconic icons and faces of the video game world. But it all started, I believe, in 1986 with the original Nintendo's Legend of Zelda. Now, the cartridge was so cool that it was gold. It wasn't real gold, but it looked cool. I didn't even know they made regular ones after. Nobody gave a shit. Everybody wanted the gold one. Everyone said, oh, the gold one is more cool and blah, 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 whatever. Maybe it added more mystique to the game. I don't know. All I know is what was inside the gold cartridge, which was just an amazing video game. It's like the angry video game nerd said, it's a masterpiece. And it really is. And guess what? The same guy who created Mario is the same guy that created Zelda. And he said the reason why he created Zelda is because when he was a young kid, he would go around just exploring the world. And the game did come with a map and an instruction manual. But at the same time, he said, for the most part, it's just there just in case you get lost. Don't even use it. Just go around and explore shit for yourself. And that's what he was trying to create with this game. It's just, you're like this little kid going around and, checking out new things and blowing shit up and finding gems and hearts. And, along the way, you go to each castle, and each castle has a different enemy. It's got different weapons, different secrets. Some things are more cryptic than others. It's just a really cool concept. And they did make a second one for Nintendo, and they changed the format. They made it just more of a, I don't know what the fuck you call it. I mean, the guy was standing up instead of like a bird's eye view, I guess. Whatever. I mean, it was okay, but the first one is by far the best one, and it's just a really cool game. It's like I said before about Star Tropics. Now, again, I'm not saying Star Tropics is nowhere close to Legend of Zelda, but it's the same sort of format. But Legend of Zelda, you could tell they put way much more into that, and it's just created this franchise that they're still making Legend of Zelda games to this day, and I don't think it's going to stop anytime soon. They never made a shitty movie for it, thank God. I mean, even my dad always says, "How come they haven't made a Legend of Zelda movie?" I have no idea, Dad. I'm just here enjoying the games, and this is actually this is one of the games that me and my dad would always play. My dad loved this game so much he would play without me, and I told him, "Dude, you got to play with me, man. I mean, I'm here, I don't know, like I'd wake up in the middle of the night and still hear the fucking music, and this is obsessed we are, with this game, and we never passed it, but I ended up passing it by myself later on, and we, should all now know that it's defeating Ganon, who's the main boss at the end there, who is some kind of like warthog or pig. I don't know. It kind of looks like Bebop's dad from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Again, another turtle reference. Sure, why not? And you get to that last stage, and it's like a maze. Like even the music changes for the last stage. Like every dungeon has the same music, and then this last stage, is it's just got a different feel, and again, like I said before, the music always makes a difference. Like you just enter that last stage, and you're just like, dun, 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 dun. I mean, like as a kid, these used to fucking scare the shit out of me. That Unsolved Mysteries. I don't know. I don't know. I was always geared towards things that scared me for some reason. I don't know. Brussels sprouts, whatever. Just it's a really cool game. Like I said, they put a lot into this game. It was meant to be a really cool like adventure game, kind of like I mean, not like I guess a fresh start from Mario, but just something different. But like a whole new way of looking at adventure and like discovering stuff. So again, I don't want to give a lot away because if you've never played this game, you got to play it. It's awesome. As soon as you hear that music in the beginning, again, it just pulls you in, man. It's perfect. And guess what? After you pass the game, a whole different game starts up. I didn't even know that till like years later. It's still like the same map, but then everything in all the castles are all different, and the land is still different, but they put different shit in different places. It's just cool. It's almost like two games in one. So it's definitely worth your money if you want to buy it. And yeah. The only thing that drove me nuts about the game is like when you're dying, I mean, that shit would not stop beeping, man. Beep, beep, beep. Like when you're low on hearts and whatever. But again, it's a speck on my diamond. I don't care. It's beautiful. I don't even have to say anything else. Except this. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this. Da-na-na-na. Now, ladies and gentlemen, like I said before, I went through every single Nintendo game that I could find. It took me months to do. Obviously, most of the games are shit. I'm not going to lie to you, but I like to give a couple shout outs to, or a couple honorable mentions to a couple games that I think you guys should try. Any one of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle games, 1, 2, and 3. Mario 2, which apparently I found out years later is not the real Mario 2, but the real Mario 2 is Mario Lost Levels. I don't got enough time in this podcast to explain it. Just Google it and you'll see what the fuck I'm talking about. Double Dragon 2. Do not play Double Dragon 3. I don't give a shit. I think it sucks. Any of the other Mega Mans 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. Battletoads. There's a game where apparently Double Dragon teams up with Battletoads. Again, I assume they get good weed there. The testers. They know what they're doing. Chippendales, Rescue Rangers 1 and 2, DuckTales 1 and 2, Little Nemo, The Dream Master, Kung Fu, and yes, that is basically taken from that Bruce Lee movie where he's in it for only 20 minutes. Super C, which is Contra number 2. Uh, Rygar, spelled Rygar. Check it out. Dr. Mario, Tetris. Apparently, there's different versions. They all look the same to me. Jackal. Uh, every time I hear Jackal, I always think of Family Guy. Jackal? Jackal. Is it a Jackal? Jackal. But yeah, it was a good game. Like I said before, Star Tropics 2, it's still good. Kirby's Adventure, any of the Castlevanias 1, 2, and 3. Although 2, I don't know. I don't know. You'll see. Zelda 2, Excite Bike, Arkanoid, Grandius. That's spelled Gradius. The Goonies 1 and 2. G.I. Joe. Gun Knack. Yes, that is a title. Gun space NAC. Yeah, like I said, I can go on here, forever. But you get the idea. I mean, but like I said before, I mean, I played every single game in alphabetical order, by the way. From 10-Yard Fight to Samurai Zombie Nation. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's definitely worth checking out Samurai Zombie Nation because it's basically a shooter game, but you play. It's so fucked up. You play as a head, and the head is like shooting like a spaceship. It's like a fucking acid trip. Just check it out, and that's pretty much it. And now we get to my number one, my favorite game of all time on Nintendo. It might be a cliche to you for some people at this point, but I don't give a shit. It's my list. I get to do what I want. When you have your podcast, you can do whatever you want to. The number one game is Super Mario Brothers 3. Now, obviously, Zelda's a masterpiece, but Super Mario 3 is just that game that you can just never get sick of. They came out with number 1. It was great, got the ball rolling for the system. Number 2, like I said, it was a rip-off off another game. And then the real Mario 2 was Lost Levels, which is like basically Mario 1 on steroids. It's almost impossible to pass. And then Mario 3, they just put everything into it. You play on all these different worlds. And it's got a whole bunch of different levels in each world. Each world's got a theme. There's a water world. There's an ice world. There's even a world where everything is that much bigger. Goombas are bigger. Koopa Troopas are bigger. Hammer Brothers are bigger. Everybody's bigger. It's just, again, the weed is just awesome at Nintendo. And they just come up with some crazy shit. And you get cool weapons. You get to turn into a raccoon, and then with the tail you get to fly, and then there's a part where you turn into the Tanuki suit, which is a bear, and then you get to freeze as a statue and nobody can hit you. Weed. And you get to be a Hammer Brother, and then you get to be a frog, and it's just fucking crazy, man. Like, everything is... This game is awesome. I play it to this day. It is such a fun game. If you love Mario, you will absolutely love Mario 3. Mario 3 is always regarded as one of the best games of all time, period. Not just for Nintendo, just of all time. It's great to play with 1 or 2 players. If you connect together on the same level there, you get to play the original Mario Brothers, which was that platform game where all the enemies are coming out of pipes, and then you got to hit the below wall and shit. I don't know. Like I said, it's all just a fucking trip, and it's just a really cool game. It really is. Like you just never get sick of it, And that's the whole point of Nintendo, is that they just wanted to create games, that were timeless, and a lot of these games were from like sister companies and second party, third party companies, and they just didn't know what the fuck they were doing. It's not worth mentioning their names, LGN, and they weren't just here to create classic games. I mean, they were here just to make a quick buck, But the real games that were like licensed by Nintendo, most of them, that were licensed by Nintendo, the main ones, that I mentioned, they're to me they're timeless, and they're just really entertaining, and that's the whole point of Nintendo. I mean, it was just to create, just fun entertainment for everybody to enjoy. A lot of people say that, okay, video games, made everybody lazy and nobody wants to go outside. No one's telling you can't go outside. But at the same time, if it's minus 20 out there, and if it's midnight, and you ain't got shit to do, you found out your wife just cheated on you, and you don't feel like going outside, and you just want to sit back and play some video games. But I don't know, like maybe sometimes you play video games and you're thrown off by the 3D if you're older, and you're wondering like how the fuck did Mario end up in this weird dimension, and like why is he walking streets now? And you know what? I just want to chill. I just want to relax. I just want to play some old school video games, something that reminds me of my childhood, and always put a smile on my face. And that's what Nintendo did. It gave you this whole different aspect of life, and how you know what, that's bullshit. Listen, everything you know what, it's just entertainment. That's all it is. It's something to pass the time, but it's cool shit. Like, it really is. For its time, like, these games were really cool. I mean, even with Mario 3, I mean, okay, they made that movie The Wizard, whatever, with the dude from the Wonder Years, and I mean, there was one big ass commercial for Mario 3, but at the time, I mean, that was like some fucking futuristic shit for kids. We're like, holy shit, like we're gonna like get a new Mario game, and like nowadays we're just like flooded with a whole bunch of shit, and it's cool just to like look back and some of the simple times we had, and it wasn't like a big wireless controller. It was just a simple box rectangle controller with two red buttons, two black buttons, and a D-pad, and we just sat there and just played. It was a lot of fun, and it still is a lot of fun to this day, especially with these 10 games I just listed. I mean, that's why they're my favorites, because I could play them right now and just never get tired of them. Everybody's got a favorite video game. Even if you don't like video games, you still have that favorite video game you used to play back in the day. And for me, Nintendo was a big icon, a big influence on my life, and created a lot of entertainment. It was really cool, and it's still very popular to this day. And I just want to say thank you very much to all the people at Nintendo for creating a lot of cool memories for me, passing the time. Something I even got to do with my dad. So that's awesome. Basically, for me, Nintendo was an interactive version of television. It was a way of exploring new worlds by actually playing inside of it and having a controller in my hand and just seeing where the game would take me. As for Nintendo, I have no idea what the future is for Nintendo. Like I said, I heard they're making a new Super Mario movie, but it's going to be in cartoon form. The same people at Pixar are going to do it, the same people who created Minions. So that's a good sign right there. Will they bring back Nintendo cereal? I don't know. Will they bring back those Super Mario and Legend of Zelda bed sheets that I always fell in love with? I don't know. Will they bring back the cartoon version of the Super Mario Brothers Super Show and the Legend of Zelda? Well, excuse me, princess. I doubt it. But one thing is for sure, these will always be my top 10 Nintendo Entertainment System games.